This is a brief screencast on creating a locked door with a hidden key in Inform 7. So the first thing that we need to do is create our rooms that will be connected by our locked door. Our first room is inside our imaginary building. We named it the Mudroom, and it has the description, "You are now inside, and to the north is a wooden door." Our second room is outside our imaginary building, and we should also give it a useful description so that the player knows where they are in our world. We also want to include directions that these rooms are, or for these rooms, that they are in relation to each other. In this case, the inside is south of the outside. To put it another way, if you go north inside, you will get outside. Now we need to create our wooden door. We'll also set the description of our wooden door and the parameters that define it. Inform 7 understands when something is locked or unlocked, so we will define that here. We also want to make sure that the initial state of our door is locked and closed to prevent the player from simply passing through at the start of the game. Again, both closed and locked are built-in verbs in Inform 7. Finally, we need to place our wooden door connecting our two rooms, the mudroom and the garden. We do this using the same relations that we established in our descriptions, locating the wooden door north of the mudroom and south of the garden. For sanity, we're going to check our code and make sure that everything is working correctly. We can see that we are in the mudroom, we have a wooden door, and when we attempt to pass through it, it is locked. Now we're going to add some puzzle elements to our room. We're going to create a shelf, and we're going to declare the shelf scenery. That is, the shelf is simply a piece of the room that we can see, but only if we explicitly look for it. This means that Inform 7 will not list it in the initial description. We are going to give our shelf a description, and we're also going to make our shelf a supporter. The supporter verb is a special verb that gives this particular piece of scenery the concept of having things placed on it. For example, we could say that the key is on the shelf, but that would be too easy. Lastly, we need to put the actual shelf in our room. Until there is a thing that is an object on the shelf, Inform will not tell us that it exists. So if we just look around our room, we will not see our shelf. We can, however, explicitly look for it. And when we do that, we will get the description of our shelf. So when we try to take a scenic thing, you're going to get the sort of the generic response, that is hardly portable. And so let's put a little bit more of a descriptive action in here. We're going to use the special Inform code instead. Which means instead of doing the default, we're going to do something different. And in this case, we're going to say it's securely fastened to the wall. And that basically just makes it so that there's something a little bit more interesting about our shelf. And when we run this, and we try to take the shelf, we now get our fancy description. So to hide our key in this tutorial, we're going to make a vase, and a vase is a thing. Things are objects that the player can interact with in the room. We're going to put the vase on the shelf, because we made the shelf a supporter, and we're going to declare that the description of the vase is a vase from the Ming Dynasty, and we're going to make this vase priceless. Once again, we're going to test our code. We see that on the shelf is a vase. And we can examine the shelf, and it will tell us that there's a vase there. We can examine the vase, and we get our vase description. And so from here, we need a key. And we're going to make the bronze key a thing. Again, that's an object that the player can interact with. And we're going to set some states for this bronze key. We're going to set the state of the bronze key to discovered or undiscovered. Basically, these two states of being will allow us to use if or then statements later to determine what the bronze key is and how it is interacting with our world and with our player. So the initial state of the bronze key for this particular puzzle is going to be undiscovered. That is, that the initial state of our object is set to the value of undiscovered. And as always, we want to give a better description for our objects. This will add realism and depth to our world. And we're going to explicitly define that the bronze key opens the mudroom door. Now, normally you probably would want to leave the description a little bit more vague, depending on the complexity of your puzzle. But for this tutorial, we're simply going to declare that this key opens the mudroom door. There's only one door. It's the only door that we've got, so we're going to use it. And now, lastly, we're going to say that the bronze key unlocks the wooden door. And again, unlocks is an Inform 7 verb that describes the action of unlocking something. And so we now know that this thing unlocks the wooden door. And so we have a slight issue here where that you can actually take the vase. And that doesn't actually help us because then you cannot find the bronze key. So we're going to use the instead verb again, and we're going to say, instead of taking the vase, and this is where our state of the bronze key comes into play. So if the bronze key is undiscovered, we're going to do a certain set of actions. And the first action we're going to do is we're going to say, you pick up the vase and you find a key hiding inside of it. We're going to let the player know that they found this key and that they put it in their pocket. That is, we're going to transfer the key to the player's inventory. And so to do that, we just say now the player is carrying the bronze key. And for future attempts to pick up the vase, we want them to know that the bronze key is discovered. So we're going to change the state of the bronze key from undiscovered to discovered. And then to prevent them from taking the vase, we're going to stop the action, which tells Inform that whatever it was doing, don't actually carry through with it. And then the other half of Inform's if statement is an otherwise. And in this case, we're going to get cold feet about picking up this priceless vase. We are afraid that we might drop it. So we're going to put in some description for that. Again, this is if the key has already been found. And again, we're going to stop the action. So now we can test this. We can examine the vase. Again, we don't see the key yet because we haven't actually tried to take the vase. But now when we try to take the vase, we find the key. We know that the key has been in our pocket. We check our inventory. Indeed, we are now carrying a bronze key. We can use the bronze key to unlock the wooden door. We can try to take the vase again, but we'll get our otherwise statement. Put the vase back on the shelf because it's priceless. And now we can go north and we are in the garden and we have successfully concluded our tutorial.